My aunt would take us to church Sundays and Wednesday nights, and it was all very good until we got home. It was a very scary topic at that time, and nobody wanted to hear about it. You didn't speak truth, you didn't live truth. It was a facade. Your life was all an act, and you smile no matter what, and things are okay even though they're not. I was an only child. I grew up in a family where we went to church every Sunday. Times were good. When I was very young, my parents divorced, and it left my mother as a single parent. So therefore, I was home alone a lot and got taken to my aunt's house a lot while my mother was trying to maneuver working and dating and me. So at that point, it just kind of blossomed into this relationship that became abusive at my uncle's hands. After church, that's when the abuse started. So it was very scary. I didn't really like going to church as a teenager because I knew there were people in the church that were abusing their children, and I was one of them, and I didn't like it anymore. How could God let this happen? Why? Is there a God? Maybe there really isn't. As a child, I was very shy, and at that time you were told to obey and listen to your adults and respect them. So it wasn't like I had an opinion on anything and I couldn't speak about anything, but it continued to happen, and it seemed like it lasted forever. So I was very recluse, and I kind of just internalized everything. The shame was just so heavy that it just seemed like it was my fault. If I wouldn't have been wearing this, or if I wouldn't have worn that, or if I wouldn't have been there at that time, I felt like it was my fault. Like I could have prevented that, which was a lie. After I grew up, I didn't want to follow Jesus after that. So I just kind of walked away from it, got as far away from it as I could, making all the choices that young people do, and it just made it like swimming upstream. It was just very hard to get through life carrying this luggage that I was carrying for so long. I became more bitter and more angry. I just kind of got involved in some drugs, some bad relationships, just holding on to all this, trying to maneuver. And I just didn't really like men at all. I didn't trust anyone, any men in my life whatsoever. I really had a fear of being touched by anybody. So I thought, what can I do about this? I need to fix this. Maybe if I went to a school where you learn how to touch people, maybe I would be able to be touched again. So I went to massage therapy school. I thought, well, this is a great place to learn how to heal. And now it's like it's the healing factor in my life. There is a God. If He can take me from zero touch to this, there is a God. He transformed my whole life by using that ugliness and turning it into something so beautiful. I just really drew near to God at that point. It eventually came to where I would just pour myself into fellowship, into church, and take my daughter to church. And eventually I got a call from a friend that said, hey, I know somebody who's a Christian, and it ended up that we dated for 6 months and we're married. I mean, I was older, I knew what I wanted. It was nice, but even then I still had a veil of bitterness and unforgiveness that I held it over him. I worked on many people doing massages, and I met a woman that went to fellowship, and she says, well, I have a couple that I'd really like you to meet. And before you know it, we were sitting at Outback with Monty and Steve Horn, and it was a God thing. Monty, within 2 days of knowing her, she was telling me how she could see the heaviness in my life and how I needed to forgive my abuser, and I just thought she was nuts. There's no way. I did nothing wrong. At least I know that now. And now you want me to forgive someone who hurt me. They should be asking me for forgiveness, but they don't care about me. So it was kind of like, okay, well, maybe there's something to this. So it intrigued me. So then I went to her house more and more and more and more. And I felt like maybe the Holy Spirit was prompting me and preparing me for this time, to a point where I went to my abuser and I let him know that I remembered and I forgive him. And he immediately, he was mowing the grass. I remember the day, and I walked out to the mower and I just told him that I remember and I forgive him. He fell down on his mower and started bawling. My jaw dropped, because I thought, really? You wanted me to forgive you? You've been thinking about this? And he was so thankful. And then I just said, just please don't touch me or don't hug me and anytime I see you ever again. But I let it go, and yes, I was relieved, and I'm thinking, great, now I can start living my life and I can just let go of all this. Did I forget about it? No. But did the heaviness go away? Yes. Bitterness and unforgiveness is like me drinking poison and expecting them to die, because I'd like to punish them. I want vengeance, you know, but that's not where the peace comes from. As a matter of fact, my point of even talking about my sexual abuse is to make sure that others know how forgiveness is going to free them up to live a life that God intended for them to live. That was the key that transformed me, my counseling, my abuse, my bitterness, my rage, my everything. If you don't have forgiveness, there's no counseling, there's no amount of money that can take that heaviness or take that away from you. But it was the key, is forgiveness. It's pretty amazing that forgiving someone who hurt you is freeing. I mean, truly freedom. It's unbelievable.